This election cycle will determine not just the next president of the United States. There is a lot of positions that will be filled, amongst them judges. And ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Judge Frank Andreou, who is running for the position of judge in the 12th Subcircuit of Cook County. Judge, thank you so much for finding time and meeting with us.
Thank you for having me today. I'm very happy to be here.
You gotta be a very busy man
Yes.
for the past few weeks.
Yes.
How is it to be on the campaign trail at the final stretch?
Very hectic. As you can see my face here, I'm sunburned because Monday and Tuesday were unseasonably sunny and hot.
Yeah.
And we were out at the polling places. I was in Palatine Monday, Northbrook Tuesday, just meeting voters. We've been canvassing. We've gone to festivals. We've gone to farmers markets. We're just out there trying to meet as many people as we can.
I bet those meetings are very rewarding.
Yes.
You're able to hear what hurts them, what issues are the most important. So what are people asking you about?
The most important thing that I think people ask is, who are you? Because most people don't know anything about the judicial candidates or the judicial races. And unfortunately, in such an important position, most people skip it. They'll either just eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or they'll just forget it. And so what we're trying to do is introduce ourselves. What they don't really want to know is our political philosophy. They want to know our judicial philosophy.
Yeah.
What will we bring to the court system that's different than what already is? And the most, I think, frequent complaint is that cases take too long to go through the court system. Efficiency, and also that the judges are mean. I don't know if you know Judge Judy. That's not a good judge. I know she's a funny judge and she screams at people, but that's not what people want to see. When people go to court, they want a judge that will listen and understand and rule within the law, but at least give them an opportunity to be heard. So the biggest complaint they have, though, is that the cases take too long. So
let me follow up on the issue that you've already touched. What should we as voters look for in judges, or what kind of judge you are and you are going to be selected?
I've been a judge for 5 years. I got sworn in 2020. I'm what's called an associate judge. The public doesn't vote for associate judges. The judges you vote for us.
They choose among peers.
They chose them, exactly. And so what people should be looking for in a judge is someone with the experience level in order to be able to do the job, meaning a wide variety of experience. For me, for example, I have experience on the criminal side. I was a prosecutor. And on the civil side, that's primarily where I practiced as an attorney. You have to look at the judge's temperament. How will they be in court? Will they be impatient? Will they show up on time?
Yeah.
And the other one is their legal knowledge. Will they read the briefs that you submit? Will they give you an opportunity to be heard? So what you should be looking for are those qualifications. Now, there are a lot of bar groups, the Chicago Bar Association, Illinois State Bar Association, and they evaluate us as candidates when you want to become a judge, and as judges when we're going to be retained. And they ask lawyers that appeared before me about those categories, and I've received some highly qualified ratings from the Illinois State Bar Association. Decalogue and Lagback have given me highly qualified. And then there's also qualifieds are recommended from the rest, because in those categories of temperament, legal knowledge, and ability, and things like that, I'm getting favorable remarks. So the public can go to these web pages for the Chicago Bar Association, Illinois State Bar Association. There's other groups, and you can see how the judges are rated.
This data is available for us as voters.
It's available to the public. And then newspapers like the Daily Herald will actually do a list of all of the ratings from each bar group, and then the public can make an informed choice.
Yeah, one question, because you run as a Democratic candidate, and how important are those political affiliations? Technically, judges should be above these political divisions, yet the candidates are labeled as Democrats or Republicans. How should we interpret that as voters?
Well, in order to get on the ballot, you have to declare a party, and that is not anything that the candidate can control. You can control which party you want to run in, but idealistically and actually legally, you're not supposed to discuss political issues with the public. So when we're out there and people will say, Judge, what's your position on this issue or that issue? My response has to be, I can't discuss politics with you. And I can tell you the 5 years I've been a judge and the thousands of cases that I've handled, not once has anybody asked me my political philosophies on the bench. They want to make sure I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
But we do have to, at least that initial step, declare a party. If I had my preference, I would think the judicial races should be nonpartisan,
Exactly.
like a school board, but they're not. So we have to declare a party, and when you go vote, you'll look on the ballot, you'll see Frank J. Andreou, Democrat, and then I have an opponent who's a Republican, and so do my other two slate mates, Alon Stein and Jack Costello, and we all have to declare a party. Now, after you're elected, your first 6 years, you have to be retained. Those retentions, and you'll see this on your ballot, yes, no. There's 78 of them, I believe, 78 judges that have run their 6-year terms, and that's how we're held accountable to the public. You have the opportunity to say yes or no, and again, go to those resources I told you about and make your decision. But they're nonpartisan. That's why they don't have a D or an R next to their name. So
I got it. So there is some homework for us as voters to do, to be prepared before going to the actual polling place.
Right.
Judge, let's talk about your experience. You mentioned that this experience is extremely important when choosing the right people to serve as judges. What is your background? What is your experience?
Sure. I graduated law school in 1995. So this coming up in 2025, I'll be out of law school for 30 years. It's hard to believe. It went by very quickly. But I started out my career as a criminal prosecutor. I was an assistant state's attorney in Cook County from 1995 to about 1999. Then I went to a larger law firm in the city because I wanted to go into the civil practice. And I was there for about 2 years. And then in 2002, I opened my own practice, Andreou and Casson, where I worked for just shy of 20 years before I took the bench. And I basically did civil litigation of all kinds and built my practice from scratch. So I've done close to 90 jury trials. I've written around 75 appellate briefs.
Wow.
I'm licensed to practice. I was licensed to practice before the Supreme Court of the United States, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, and I did some work in federal court as well. So because I had my own firm, I could take different types of cases as long as there was no conflict, and I was able to go to many, many different courtrooms. So having been out there as long as I had, and also having been on the bench for the time that I've been on, I think I bring a unique experience to this.
Very broad.
Yeah.
Very broad in the fact that you are already serving as a judge.
Yes.
That adds that little extra that other candidates might not have.
Right. I'm the only candidate in my race that has judicial experience. And even there, it's a variety. I started out where all the judges start in traffic court. Then I went out to the 2nd District in Skokie, where I handled primarily misdemeanors in traffic, but I also did orders of protection. I sat in some felony rooms as a substitute judge once in a while. I did bond hearings, preliminary hearings, and I also did weddings. Whoa. So yes, we do weddings too, which is my favorite part. It's happy day for the most part. Yeah. And then we also did arrest and search warrants as well, other things that I did. So many roles as a judge.
Again, variety of cases.
Variety of cases.
Heard. Let's talk about you for a moment.
Sure.
You have a family. You are a resident of the Subcircuit, 12 Subcircuit.
I live in Northbrook.
Yeah. But tell me about what you do, your family, and your contributions to your local community.
Sure. So my wife and I were married in 2001, and we moved to Northbrook then. I grew up in Glenview, not too far from where I live now. My boys, I have a 20-year-old and 18-year-old, 2 boys. They're both in college. They're both at Purdue. They went through the District 27 and 225 school systems. I served on the school board in District 27 for 5 years. That was an elected position. I had to give that position up when I became a judge in 2019. But I was very active in my community. I also was on the Economic Development Committee in Northbrook. And the thing that we tried to do was to bring businesses into Northbrook so that we can generate sales tax revenue and provide the services to the citizens of Northbrook without too much of a burden on their pocketbooks. And I also served as a parish council member in my church. And I was the stewardship chairman of my church for about 4 years. I coached youth basketball. And I sang on the church choir, although not very well, but I am on the church choir. And so I still like to stay very involved in the community, even though my kids have now, we have different activities now that my kids have grown up. The number one activity for the last year and a half has been this. It's been a long campaign.
I believe, yeah, so you contribute a lot, and that speaks volume, honestly, that you're involved. I personally like your business, the business side, the fact that you run a business as a private firm, and that you were involved in stimulating into bringing businesses,
right.
You know exactly what the business side of society needs.
And that's basically what when I became a judge, and now that I'm in a different division. Now the division that I work in now deals with medical malpractice, personal injury, serious injury cases, high value cases. And the one thing that I remember as a lawyer was when there was a delay in the case, because I was primarily a defense attorney. So I would bill my clients to go to court, and they would see these large legal bills, and they said, why are my bills so high? Because the case is taking too long. Well, why is that taking too long? Nobody says, oh, look, my lawyer bill came. I'm so excited to pay it. It's the last bill they want to pay. Exactly. They just don't want to pay it. But the reason that cases take a long time in large part is because if the judge can't make a decision and they delay the case because they want to think about it, they take too long to come back with a ruling. The one thing that translated from my business background or running the business is that I understand that it's expensive to be in court. And so you want the judges to say, okay, I'll turn this around to you. I'll give you a ruling within X amount of days and mean it. Or hold the parties to their deadlines so that the cases move forward and they get to trial. And we have rules that we follow, guidance from our Supreme Court on how long these cases should take. And we want to stay within those limits. But not necessarily to the point where we prejudice people by not allowing them to develop their case. So there's a flexible floor on that. We do want them to be able to get their cases heard the way they should be.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. I'm really happy to hear that, because usually we hear about fairness, about the values, but this efficiency factor is something that really hurts our pockets.
Yes.
And our minds. So I'm really happy that you want to emphasize that. Judge, you're part of a slate of 3 candidates. We had a pleasure to talk to Mr. Alon Stein already. Jack Costello is also on your slate.
Yes.
Let's talk about them for a second.
Well, Alon, as you've already seen on your show here, he's a Northbrook resident, and I met him during this process. Basically, when early on in his aspirations to be judge, we sat down and talked about, hey, how did you become a judge? What did you do? And I kind of gave him the ups and the downs of running, and because I have run before and didn't prevail in 2016. And so what I found to be is his background is appropriate and suitable to be a judge. He has a great temperament. He's a hard worker. I've never seen anybody campaign like him before. Now, Jack I also met during this process. Mr. Costello is a prosecutor here in Cook County. He's been a prosecutor for 17 years. Now, the types of cases he deals with are high-end financial crimes. He's in the Special Prosecutions Unit here in Cook County that deals with Bitcoin scams and scams against the elderly and all sorts of different things, like, for example, phishing scams and all this other type of financial crimes. But before that, he did any type of criminal prosecution you can imagine, from the misdemeanor to the murder. And he's tried dozens of jury trials, hundreds of bench trials. He's got a very wide experience in the criminal setting. However, one thing that you should know about Jack too is that in college, he helped pay for his school by running a painting business. And he would come back from the University of Illinois on the weekends and do his work. He developed a painting business. And then I think after he graduated college, he continued the business, but then realized he wanted to go to law school after somebody gave him an opportunity to be an intern in the state's attorney's office. And that became his passion. But he's also run businesses too.
Wow, fantastic story.
Yeah, just like Alon. Alon has his own firm, and we all have that experience. So we're hoping to translate that to a more efficient court system.
Awesome. Judge, what is your punch number? Where can people find you on the ballot?
Okay, I am here. I have pockets full of these things. So I am punch number 93. Alon is 91, and I am 95. The reason we appear this way on this card is because this is how we appear on the ballot. So what I tell people is we're bottom of the ballot, but keep us top of mind, because judges are important.
Exactly.
So please vote for the judges.
Please go to the elections. You can start voting now. The early voting in Cook County is already happening right now. So you don't have to wait till November 5th. Go out and vote, regardless of your political affiliations. In case of the races for the judges, those political affiliations don't matter as much. Who you choose matters most.
That's correct. That's
and
correct.
Our guest today, Judge Frank Andreou, is a wonderful person who we can say that we truly can support. And he brings a lot, really a lot to the table, to the judicial bench. Judge, thank you so much. And
thank you so much for having me.
Best of luck
Thank you.
for the elections.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.